Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering human creativity. I am Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Camille Delaney-McNeil, who serves as the director of the Los Angeles Philharmonic's Beckmen Yola Center. Camille, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm so delighted to be here and chat with you today.
So I am so excited, and of course the LA Phil overall, but especially Yola, and for those who don't know, the Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles is one of our great, wonderful creative partners for the show. And I would be very remiss if I did not also share that Camille is an alum of the Sphinx Lead program and is just a tremendous leader. I have had the honor of being able to see your leadership up front for many years now, and it is truly extraordinary. So I'm really excited to have you on the show.
Thank you, Aaron. Excited to be here.
So I thought we'd kind of, really actually delve in to kind of how especially the center engages with the community. But before that, just for any of our audience who may not kind of know, could you just kind of share the breadth of impact of what you actually oversee, because it's very significant.
It is, and I feel it every day. Don't take that lightly, but I am proud to be the inaugural director of the Beckmen Yola Center, under the leadership of Thomas Beckmen and his lovely wife, Judith. This was a real authentic moment for the orchestra. And I have to say, joining the Los Angeles Philharmonic team and seeing the amount of thought and attention put into real community engagement was really one of the driving reasons for me joining and taking on this leadership role. And it wasn't just to say, hey, we want to build, and by the way, this is the first building that the Los Angeles Philharmonic has owned. They operate 3 other venues that are actually leased by the County of Los Angeles. But their first building that they actually put down the dollar amount was for their young people and in the program of Youth Orchestra Los Angeles. So to me, that was like, ding, 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 we're doing something right. And through that process of figuring out, okay, where can we build relationships? And I thought it was very poignant to say, you know what, we haven't built a strong relationship with the city of Inglewood, right? A lot of people think that LA is kind of like this big landscape, but Inglewood is its own city. And within that, its own rich musical, artistic city of such legacy and such cultural expression. So, we want to always be mindful as cultural institutions. Are we simply imposing ourselves, or are we authentically acknowledging what's in front of us and saying, how can we support this? And how can we uplift it? And how might we join and merge? So being that as a guiding star, if you will, finding the community of Inglewood and saying, hey, we want to build something that services this community, particularly its young people. And so through a series of conversations, through town halls, through one-on-one meetings, through meeting with faith-based organizations, to talking to community activists in the community about what's important to you about an institution like the LA Phil coming here and seeing that manifest. And so now you have this beautiful Frank Gehry design, 25,000 square foot building that's, supposed to be this testament to that relationship and the start of that relationship, right? Not just, hey, we're here, we're doing our own thing, see you later. So that's very powerful to me. And so leading this institution, this center with my fabulous colleagues in our learning department and with the LA Phil, it really is about how are we sustaining those relationships? What kind of activity happens here during the day? We've had many wonderful connective points with, all the way from the education department of Los Angeles County to the Inglewood Unified School District to presenting a Caregiver in Me concert with Hilary Hahn, playing for babies and moms and parents. So it really has been quite the journey, and it's just the start of it. So it's been exciting. And in addition to that, Aaron, not only is this a center and a connecting point for the community. Our Yola activity happens here. We have 5 sites across Los Angeles. We're serving close to 1,700 students, and I'm actually the director of Yola as well. So my scope is quite big, but we make it work.
It is truly amazing and extraordinary work, and I love how you described that, and especially how you built those engagements and those inroads with the community. And it wasn't just, hey, here we are, and we're the LA Phil and we're amazing, but let the community kind of help shape what you do and what you value and all of those things, which I think it really is extraordinary. And of course, just as an arts leader, the breadth of what you oversee and that associated impact is truly incredible. As you think about all of that work, I was wondering if you specifically as a leader, Yola and the LA Phil in total have developed now, given these experiences and the successes that you've had, kind of any guiding principles. So in other words, anyone who's watching, who's looking and saying, we really want to deepen our community work or our engagement with the community, we feel some things aren't working. Are there any kind of guiding principles or best practices that you follow or that you feel have been most helpful in this work?
Aaron, that's a fabulous point. And I have to start by saying it's not going to be an easy answer. And what I mean by that is this process might force, if you will, an individual, an institution to really evaluate the intention behind what they're trying to accomplish and how that is done. Because when you go into a new space, when you're trying to build community with someone who maybe doesn't immediately share the same types of values and not necessarily generic values, but they just have different history. They put different importance on certain things and priorities. And maybe that doesn't align with what you think is so special. So it's about meeting people where they are. And I always think that that's not a deficit, that's a moment for innovation. And I think, being here with the Los Angeles Philharmonic, innovation is a huge part of what is the driver for a lot of the thinking. And so in terms of, advice, if you will, for doing this type of work, come with a blank slate and tell your history and tell your story, but be willing to listen to the story that's in front of you. And then for me personally, what I like to do to take that a step further is say, even if these things are very different or seemingly not a fit at first, is there something creative? Is there a way I can be creative? How might this work? So that's a key phrase for me. How might we? And several people might kind of institute that in their daily practice anyway. How might we kind of make this work? And so that's the next step. And I think even if there isn't a solve today, perhaps down the line or as evolved thinking continues to happen, that is when the magic of new opportunities, in my perspective, occurs. So if we're kind of asking, maybe that was like 2 points there. If we're starting with those 2 points, for me, I think that is a huge launching platform for starting these conversations, for doing this work authentically.
That is absolutely awesome, and I love, of course, that approach, and I think it's very helpful guideposts to this work as you described. As you look at the breadth of everything that is Yola and the Beckmen Center, is there any component that kind of stands out to you? And I know, and I know maybe this may be tough, or I'm just curious, I guess, how you think about it, but is there any component of the work that you feel this is really the cornerstone, right? This is where we have the deepest impact, and kind of many things emanate from this, but this is a cornerstone of what we do. Does that exist, and or how do you think about that at all?
Oh, goodness, there's so many. And it's on a gradient for me, but I think so. I guess I can start with this. It might be opposite than what some people think. We have done some incredible things here. We've done rehearsals and video shoots when Yola was preparing for playing in the Super Bowl. By the way, their second Super Bowl appearance. You know, we've had Gustavo come in, and those are special moments too, and work with our kids, not necessarily even for a packed room, but just rehearsing them and talking to them and inspiring. And so, you know, when those moments happen, wow, it's huge, and you say, this is what this space is for. But you know what, Aaron, what really warms my heart, and might not seem significant, but it is, we have incredible faculty here. And what I was able to do in partnership with our team is really build up this program when we started our fifth site here at the Beckmen Yola Center, Yola at Inglewood. And we were recruiting and looking for teaching artists. And we found several who were from the community of Inglewood, who were teaching already, who were doing this good work. And, you know, they come in, and there's one teacher in particular, I'll shout him out. His name is Pancho Williams, not the same that we all know, but his name is also Pancho Williams. And he would come in, and I would come in the building, and he'd be here, and he'd be practicing early in the morning. You know, no worries, like no issues. And then he'd come and he'd check in with me, and he'd say, I show up here because this is my community and I have to be here. There's no other choice. I need to serve these young people. And then he comes, and then he's here all day, and then he teaches private lessons, you know, while I'm sitting in the office, probably a little bit too late till 7 o'clock at night, you know, but I'm hearing this going on. I'm like, this is what it's for. Because we are supporting artists and his work. He can hone his craft, and also he's inspiring young people at the end of the day, and it's a full life cycle. And that's like, if that is continuing to happen and people feel that this is their space, then I'm doing something right. So, you know, it's equally the big moments, but it's also that small moment for me. And if that gets lost for any reason, then I know something is off track. But so far, it's been really beautiful.
I love that, and it's just a perfect illustration of the impact of the work you do, and that, of course, is multiplied over by so many thousands of times. So unfortunately, we are just about out of time, but I always like to ask of all my guests, you know, this work is amazing. There's extraordinary stories like that, but there's also probably got to be some tough days, and a tough day as an arts leader. And just wondering, what do you do as a leader? Do you have something or someone you draw upon, or something you do, a mechanism you incorporate to kind of overcome the tough times or get through the toughest of days?
It's all a practice, right? We're not perfect at it. You know, I have to say, for me, intentionally carving out recharge time and learning opportunities for myself keep me going. And that's hard to do, but I think for me, to fill my cup, if you will, that's a little bit of my artistic practice, is keeping myself honed and protective of how I'm strengthening myself as a leader, and as an individual and a person. So I think for me, that's been the biggest thing. And also, Aaron, rest. It seems so antithesis to the many hours we put in. And even if your colleagues have to force you, I am often forced to go home. I'm sent out of the building at times, you know, but people who really, surrounding yourself with a community that will do that for you. Rest and protecting your time to continue to grow and learn, because without that, how are we really leading appropriately? So I try to do those two things. Try.
Camille Delaney-McNeil, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Aaron.